Hello there. You are watching or listening to the Designated Pundits. I'm Bob here today with Scott. We are recapping MLS Match Day 22. It's been a really busy month of soccer. We know Europe is done, but the Club World Cup kicks in. We had the CONCACAF tournament. We have Club World Cup. I already said that. A lot of soccer going on, Major League Soccer, and we have another busy week up ahead. Thank you for joining us on the Designated Pundits. Lamar Hunt, U.S. Open Cup. That's kind of the one that was tricking me there.
There we go. That's rounding it out very nicely. Well done.
Thank you. We had a great week, and we're going to talk about those recaps just in a second. Scott, how you doing today?
I'm good. It's a beautiful day. Sun is shining. It's maybe a little warm, but what are you going to do?
We had a lot of interactions this week, so thank you guys for commenting, getting in the chat. We always love that. I actually have the first person ever accuse me online. This is true, Scott, of fixing my sports model, giving out incorrect information to skew the lines.
Really?
That's a big one.
That is a big. That's kind of a double-sided thing. On one hand, you're being accused of manipulation, which is bad, but on the other hand, your opinion matters so much that you can skew the lines all by yourself.
I think we do see a little bit of that movement here. This is the largest MLS betting podcast in the world, and we're very proud of that. And I'm sure we can push the line a little bit, but when the Sharks get in and they're betting huge amounts, I'm not sure we have that much pull. But we hope you're playing along and keeping track with us. Let's bring up those odds right here. By the way, I'm going to get slaughtered for not denying it. No, I do not do that. I do not fix lines. I do not push anything in the right direction, and I bet on everything I say. The model, sometimes I go with it, sometimes I go against it, but it's there as a tool, as a crutch for us. So, it is what it is. Last week, we had 14 total bets. We were exactly 500 each analyst, me, Scott, and Alex. I went 3-3, Scott 2-2, Alex 2-2. But it was a really great profitable week. We love those plus money plays. Here's how it goes. If you guys are watching on YouTube or watching the replay on Spotify now with video, you can find that we went 7-7 on 14 wagers, but we were plus 2.58 units in the process. A couple of high bets on Minnesota to win at Dallas. That was a really great one. That brought us in some plus money. Miami, the team play at plus 140 for the win there. Although if you bet it close to game time, it was actually closer to minus 140. That line really shifted a lot. It was not due to me, maybe a little bit. If you look at our results for this season, 172 wins and 167 losses on 339 total wagers, plus 27.71 units as a team. Myself up 16.52, Scott 11.22 in the plus. We are running away with it here. And if you saw this for NFL, for NBA, for EPL, this is the kind of thing you guys would get like radio time for. We are killing it out here. And you can go back on all our videos. Nothing is edited. Nothing is taken out. We give all our picks live, and I have the spreadsheet to prove it. If you don't believe me, too bad. I will link you our spreadsheet though, and you could do the math yourself and make sure.
If we're wrong, we take our lumps. Absolutely.
And we do take our lumps. In fact, we were both 500 this week. But again, plus money plays on Major League Soccer is where it's at, and that's how we get where we are. Scott, best thing you've seen this week?
Best thing I've seen this week. Look, there were a lot of really good things to see this week, but I want to shout out two specific plays, and they're players whose names you might not hear every week kind of thing. One of them is a player that you've probably never heard of unless you happen to live in Salt Lake. That is Noel Caliscan, who scored an absolute banger. He's up for goal of the week. We're probably not going to do this as much as we have always done, but I want to show the clip of this. I think it's really worthy. You're going to see a corner kick here come in. St. Louis is going to win the ball. Caliscan's going to get this and just right back in off the volley. This is so difficult considering that he's kind of got to deal with the sun in his eyes, ball sort of in the sun, sort of in the shadow, but he doesn't lose his focus, and he just strikes that very pure, great shape on that whip and bend to beat Roman Berkey, who's one of the best keepers in the league. So just, a huge shout out to a young player who's a center midfielder by trade, who's currently playing right back, out of position, down on the depth chart kind of guy, and doing a good job of it.
Love that. I was going to ask you what position he plays because I wasn't too familiar with the player. That sounds like a Marvel superhero name. Like it sounds like the leader of the Morlocks or something. Like that's a deep dive for anyone. Someone's going to comment and say, I know exactly what you're talking about there, but it's the underground people. Goal v Berkey, says Angus in the chat. Yeah, a whole bunch of those. We will talk about that in a little bit. My best of the week is going to be Scardinia for Charlotte FC. Mm-hmm. Really great assist setting up Pep Biel in the 40th minute there, and then getting involved in defense too, running all the way back, getting a clearance off the line. I mean, when I say off the line, I mean he was on the line making the save. I've watched the replay 10 times, and I have no idea how he got back in time, turned it around to face the ball, and then kicked it in the right direction. Just absolutely amazing.
It's so sort of wrong because he's facing his own goal. He's coming in full speed. The ball is going towards the goal. He doesn't really have any right to get that ball off the line and past the post. The angle is terrible. Everything going against him, but the concentration to get the right sort of contact on that with it coming in. That's a shot, by the way. It's not just like a gentle pass to him. It's a shot. It's up in the air. He's really got to track it. It's a really impressive clearance, and a big one, as it turned out, since that game ended 2-2.
Absolutely. Best thing honorable mention, best thing I've seen this week, Stefan Fry tweeting out this morning. He didn't remember what happened at the end of the game. Took a knee to the head in the end of that Sounders Crew match. The game was suspended. It was in extra time anyway, 1-1 draw. Everyone, including the refs, agreed to suspend the game. He got taken off in an ambulance. Don't watch the replay. I've seen it a whole bunch of times. I'm glad no one's out there sharing it. It seems like everyone, it's been blocked on just about all of social media, which is nice.
It's, if you really have to see it, it is in the highlight package, but you don't need to see it.
He makes a dive. The player kind of locked his legs together, and he took one in the knee. He's conscious on the ground, but when you get a concussion, you might try to sit up or try to roll over or try to talk, and it's just not working. But that's all working today. Yeah, those thumbs are in. Thanking everyone for the well wishes on Twitter.
I want to give a shout out to Wilfried Nancy as well, because the end result of that play is actually a corner kick. It's a tie game. Columbus has a chance to go and try and get a win. And, Wilfried Nancy steps up as a human being and, with his mentality that, hey, in these kind of moments, I think he said it in his postgame, football is just not that important. Schmetzer was asking for the game to be called. The ref kind of wasn't sure, wanted to play out the corner because that's the rule. If you'd had a different type of injury, you still would have just played out the corner. So the ref, not really empowered to make that decision. And Nancy came in and said, hey, no, we agree. I agree. We can't play. The players can't play. Ambulance is on the field, man. Call it. That was the thing that pushed it over the edge for the ref. So just kind of a shout out to that kind of leadership.
Yeah, because we've seen it. We've seen, players' hearts stop on the field. The young woman earlier this year in NWSL, and then the situation with who was the player, Eriksson. Yeah.
There's been a few of those. It's always scary. It's scary for the players. I think there needs to be a moment where the leagues consider what that does to the mentality of the players on the field to try and get back into that warrior mindset that you're going to play the game again. The NWSL game that you referenced, that game continued. That was here in Salt Lake, and the coaching staff for both teams after the game just ripped the league for that, being like, you shouldn't play that game. How do the players refocus and get back and do what they're supposed to do. They can't.
That's also when you just walk your players off the field.
Yeah,
You know, like
exactly.
I would have no problem being a coach and being like, yeah, we'll take a forfeit. We're going for something that drastic anyway. All right, let's move on to some happier news. Where we were right, where we were wrong. I'll say my best right and my wrong were the unders that I took. The first one, DC United versus Atlanta. Probably my best play of the week. I took under 2.5 goals. I could have taken under 1/2 goal. 0.65 XG for DC United, 0.63 XG for Atlanta United. Total 15 shots, 3 on target for both teams combined. We had Connor Antley for DC United hitting the woodwork. Latte Lath, big chance miss. Moranchuk created a big chance. I guess that's a plus for them. I mean, these are just two teams that just can't figure it out. And for Atlanta, it's got to be even worse. I had people in the chat saying, oh, you're going to do that with Benteke back? Yeah, and you know what? I might next time they play too. Like it's that solid of a play. So best of the week, DC United, Atlanta United, 0-0 draw. We had under 2.5 goals at plus 118. Plus 118 was the less likely of the scenarios. The over was -1 something.
That's pretty good. My where I was right, we kind of talked about it already. First, Miami, no points, really just no points awarded for getting that one right. That seemed so obvious to everybody. And at plus 140, just wild for them, on the road in Montreal.
And it is worth saying, and we talked about this beforehand. That is the numbers that you see on like odds and the graphics. I do those on Wednesday, and the show is for Thursday. By the time the show aired, it was closer to 120, and by game time, it was minus numbers, like -118. It was a 60-point swing throughout the course of the week with Miami, and there's no reason for that. Like you could just bet Miami against Montreal, just do it every time, right?
Yeah. So we got that one right, and that just felt like a gimme. Minnesota and over 1.5 at plus 170 was my other correct pick this week. That was another one that seemed obvious to a lot of us. And it just seemed especially obvious to me looking at the two teams, looking at their histories, looking at their recent form and all of that there would be more than one goal in it. And so a little over 1.5 just added a few extra points on there for me to boosted that to plus 170. I actually locked that pick in with those odds on that Thursday that we recorded. So that one was, you could have heard that and turned around and placed that bet yourself.
Absolutely.
That was a 2-1 final for Minnesota. Again, though, man, that just seemed so obvious to me.
Carlos Harvey with the 35th minute goal in that one for Minnesota United. He also had 18 defensive actions. The best players in the league might get like 12 to maybe 13 in a game. Absolutely like touching every part of the ball every time they were there. Farrington, he kind of had the one missed chance of the match for FC Dallas, 0.58 XG and no goals just on that play alone. Lucho Acosta hit the woodwork once and had 2 missed big chances. So, FC Dallas, again, the offense just not getting it done. But the XG numbers, 1.58 for Dallas, they only scored once. 2.57 for Minnesota, they only scored twice. So they both a little bit of underperformance there for each of them.
Yeah, well, for Minnesota too, just, take a note. Goals came from Harvey and Markinich, both defenders, right? Yeah. From that 5-man back line. Assists from Gressel, part of that 5-man back line. And Oluwaseyi, who's a midfielder. So, quiet night from that offense, but that is part of the, I guess, trouble when you're playing that Minnesota team is it's not always the forwards who are going to do the damage to you.
Absolutely. My worst of the week, and I got already called out on this all over social media. It was the under. Again, MLS unders are so predictable, but when you miss it by a lot. I had under 2.5 goals in RSL versus St. Louis City. Final score 3-2. I would have been, I need to raise it up to under 5.5, under 6.5 to get the under there. Just what a game. You had Caliscan, the goal that we just watched. Gonçalves from Agata again, Agata, not really a name guy with the SKC, but he had flashed at certain points. But RSL, like when I look down the roster, like Russell's playing well, Agata's playing well. Yeah, there is a connective tissue there, and it's getting them from the same team. But it's also RSL like recycling decent MLS players. Like you can shoot your shot and try to get someone who's never played in MLS before at a star at a huge salary price, and they can go either way. They might just be a contributor, but if you just get an MLS contributor, you could do that too, and that's kind of a more known commodity. Not always, but absolutely there. Junkwa again, last man tackle, another MLS guy from another MLS team. Him and Glad both had last man tackles in that match. Overall, a lot of XG, a lot of goals. I was completely wrong. I'm okay saying that when it comes up, as long as I'm right more often. We're still in the plus. And that was a really bad pick by me. I would have picked it again. And if they played the game tomorrow, I would have picked that again too.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we went live, and I think my viewpoint on it is like, it's not the logic behind the pick that is bad. It's just that these two teams are a little bit too unpredictable right now that you could play this game 10, 15 times and have 10, 15 different results. And that's what's tough. I guess that's why it's gambling. But I won't give you too hard a time about it.
In the comments, I really want to bring this up. It says St. Louis needs to land a bigger transfer than a German second division player. Too many players out of position. Yes, St. Louis does have that problem where they have too many players out of position right now. However, too many second division German players in MLS. That might be something I kind of disagree with, especially in what we're seeing now. St. Louis, like they're going for Germans. Toronto, they've had really good luck in the past up until this year with Italians. I actually don't hate that model of like, hey, we know this other league pretty well and we're going to get some of their guys. If you watch German second division soccer, they pass more quickly. They make decisions faster. It's just so much more fundamentally sound than Major League Soccer. And it seems like if you watch South American leagues, if you watch European leagues, if you watch African leagues, every country kind of plays their own brand of soccer. And MLS is fun because you get to mix those brands. You get to mix and match. Or you could just all play on the same brand. And that could work really well too. How do you feel about that? First of all, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I think so. I do sort of get what you're saying about the brands of soccer, because you do see in Major League Soccer that teams have developed more of their own identities, and there are some common themes across the league. It's a physical league. There's a lot of running, that kind of stuff, but it's hard to say, pick any MLS team and you're gonna see the same sort of key traits out of all the teams, because that sort of thing, I don't see that in this league. The teams have a lot more freedom to develop the style that they want to. Some are more European aligned, some are more South American aligned. They play at different speeds. Some of them are happy to counterattack and be very defensive. Some of them are, need to pass the ball to death. So that element of it. As far as the second division stuff, I get where Angus is coming from. There's a point where you do need to be more ambitious, but I would hesitate to just write off any player that comes from a second division, because every year you see second division teams get promoted to the first division and succeed, and players, succeed and stuff like that. So how is that different than a player getting signed to come from a second division team to a first division team? Sometimes players are just ready for that jump.
You heard it here for St. Louis City, the next Leicester of Major League Soccer.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Quote me, put me down. Okay, hold on. I have to tell you what I got wrong, because I had two that were actually pretty bad. So the first one, Vancouver, I chose
Scott chose a Vancouver side. He is frozen right now. Let me see if I can bring him back on the stage. I will riff until he comes back. I'm not sure if he knows that he is not with us. Oh, there you go.
That was weird. I could hear you, but yeah, it was apparently frozen. So sorry. Okay, so the Vancouver double chance. You warned me against it. I didn't listen. Vancouver got absolutely rolled in this game. The under did hit, but not with Vancouver having any chance of getting a draw or a win in this game. That was a bad one. I think the absences finally caught up to Vancouver, and you were right. The midfield was the issue. They were not able to cope.
There was also a really bad play by Takioka, like kind of uncharacteristic, maybe a little mental error there, just kind of throwing the ball out to a member of the other team. You can't do that and expect to win games, but overall, Paint Seal with a penalty, Paint Seal with a pass from Royce. You had the Nascimento goal, which I believe was off of a corner. It just was really, really good stuff all around. Jaden Nelson picked up his second yellow, so he's going to be out next game too for Vancouver.
That's gonna hurt. Last one for me on the wrong side. Cincy in Chicago. I had an over of 3.5 in that one. I don't feel too bad about the reasoning there, but it was a bit of a gamble. Cincy has a very stingy home defense. They're only conceding a little more than 1 goal per game. They conceded 1 goal in this game. I thought that the way that Chicago plays, being so open, we would see an extra goal. It went really late. I was worried that this was going to be a 2-goal game, ended into a 3-goal game. Couldn't quite get that fourth. It's one that I think that I would probably choose again, especially because it was plus 120, something like that. So I would probably do that one again. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's good to go back and think about what you did and what you got wrong, and other places that you could have been wrong. One of my bets, the one that I pulled off of the official line, I'm trying to find it here. I had Colorado team total 2.5. I 1.5. I pulled it from my official scorecard. It was not listed on the show. We did not discuss that game, and I did not bet it in real life. But the Colorado Rapids, 4.07 xG and only 1 goal. They lost 2-1 to Sporting KC while they had 67% possession. They had over 3 xG higher than Sporting KC. 8 of 24 shots on target. Sporting KC had only 2 of 5 shots on target. Oh, we're pulling it up there. Okay, my numbers are maybe a little different than you. I use like SofaScore for my like official.
Yeah, it's just the difference between like SofaScore and FotMob and who scored. They're all slightly different, but it's all really the same.
Yeah, that's really bad. The worst player of the week for me, and he got the worst player of the week award that I throw out on Twitter and X. Georgi Mihailovic. 2 times he hit the post. He missed a penalty. He missed 2 big chances. He had 1.05 xG on his own and no points. Javi Navajo, also 3 missed big chances, 1.69 xG for him. He did score once in the 89th minute.
Yeah, that's not very Georgi Mihailovic, to be like that. And it's an interesting sort of situation because in a lot of ways, Colorado goes as far as Georgi Mihailovic takes them. He is the guy. And if he's going to have an off day, if he is having a day where he's almost brilliant, but hits the post a couple of times, and Colorado cannot overcome that, the end of the season is not going to be a happy one.
I agree that was a really missed opportunity on some drop points that I was not expecting. Sporting KC, they were all happy about it, getting 2 goals and the win. 4 minutes in, Dejan Jovovich from Eric Tommy, and that was just a goalkeeper error, just putting it back into play when maybe you shouldn't have. 2 penalties, Pulskamp and the one defender, I'm blanking on his name, for Sporting KC. Only one of those goals gets converted. Very, very strange. It's good to see Eric Tommy contributing for Sporting KC. It's very weird to see Sporting KC went on the road. Nonetheless, in Colorado, which is usually a big home field advantage with altitude and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is surprising. I don't know. I don't feel too bad about it, though. Colorado fans, sorry.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys. Drop some more points. RSL needs to catch up.
That's all. Scott, any other thoughts before we pack it in on the week?
No, I don't think so. There's some more midweek games this week. Look forward to those.
Yeah, there's I believe one MLS game midweek. There's a couple Open Cup quarterfinals. You have Minnesota, Chicago, and San Jose, Austin. Do you want to just pick a winner in each one of those? Minnesota hosting Chicago.
Minnesota.
I mean, that's like kind of straightforward, right?
Chicago's good on the road, but Minnesota's defense is good enough to negate that.
Could be an overs game. That could be an interesting one.
Could be an overs game.
San Jose hosting Austin.
San Jose.
How did Austin get here? That's like the question I'm even asking here.
Yes. Will Austin score a goal?
And Wednesday, MLS regular season, New England hosts Miami. Could be sneaky good, but it's got to be Miami, right?
It's got to be Miami, but that's going to be a really compelling game because New England has the ability to be good defensively. And if they can be good defensively and they can keep it close, then anything can happen.
Quarterfinals, Philly hosts Red Bull New York.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm going to go Philly on this one.
Red Bull hasn't beaten New York. Red Bull hasn't beaten Philadelphia in like 15 times they've played. It's really bad. And not only do they get to play on Wednesday, they get to play them again Saturday.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
both in Philadelphia.
You know what? Should probably hit that second game with an over on yellow cards.
True. Oh, that's a good one. I like that bet a lot. Quarterfinals. Back to the quarterfinals. Nashville, DC.
Nashville.
I mean, that's set in stone.
Yeah, take that to the bank.
LA, Colorado. LAFC, Colorado.
LAFC, Colorado. LAFC.
Love it. All right. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on a kind of a weird week. We know there's a lot of soccer going on, but you chose to spend your time here with us today. Make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe, hit that bell icon, get notified every time we go live. Find us on your favorite podcast platform, audio, now on Spotify with video. Thank you so much for being here, and catch us Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, our regular time slot, finally again, as we make predictions for MLS Week 23. We are rounding the corner. We are like two-thirds of the way through the season, and we're having a great time here. Thank you for joining us on the Designated Pundits.